everyone, it's Nina. Thanks for joining me today for a new tutorial. I'm going to be bringing you a technique that I have really been enjoying creating with, and that is laminating with glitter. This is such a fun way to create a new look for your windows or shaker cards, and I'm going to show you how I use this technique to create a frosted window effect for my cards. I'm using new products from the Simon Says Stamp Holly Jolly collection, and I'll be using them throughout my project. I did end up creating two cards. We'll start with the card that I created on camera, and then at the end I'll show you a second version using the same technique and similar products. I'm going to start by taking one of the brand new Winter Florals watercolor cards from Simon Says Stamp's Holly Jolly collection. I'm coloring them with Karin markers, and I'm using these to watercolor these images in this card panel. This is an A2 sized card panel and looks gorgeous with whatever type of coloring medium you have on hand. Whether you want to use markers, watercolors, colored pencils, I love being able to color with these watercolor cards. These florals are a really large size too, which makes coloring super easy. Now the main focus of today's project is creating the laminated glitter effect. And so I wanted to focus on that, but I did want to show you how I quickly color these images. I started off with some greens to color in the stems and leaves, and then we'll move on to adding some color to the white areas of these flowers. I love these beautiful florals, and I wanted to give them some color so that they weren't flat white. I started by adding some gray with a Karin marker, and I'm blending that out, fading it to the white. I also wanted to add a little bit of color in here too. And because I'm going for a frosty effect, I decided to go with a turquoise color. And I'm blending that out a little bit into the white as well. That gray color is helping to soften the blue and make it not quite so bright, so I really like the effect that that gave. I'm going to ink blend some color in the background here, and I'm using brand new Simon Says Stamp blending brushes to blend out this color. This is a very small blending brush, and I love how it allows me to get around the nooks and crannies so I don't color over areas of my image that I don't want to. The other product I'm using is Distress Inks. I'm using these inks in particular, not oxide inks, because I want them to overlap with the coloring of the flowers. The Distress Inks have a translucent effect versus the more opaque effect of the oxide inks, so this is what made me choose Distress. I of course love the water reactive properties of Distress Inks, so I added some splatters and let those dry. I also enhanced my florals by adding some glitter onto them. I used glossy accents to highlight certain areas of the petals and leaves, and I'm going to sprinkle on some glitter to give them a very sparkly effect. I'm going for a slightly non-traditional Christmas color palette. I went more on the green route for this particular card, and I really like how this finishes out. I think this gives the look of a frosty snow effect on top of these beautiful florals, and this is going to play really nicely with the laminating glitter technique that I'm about to show you. We're going to start by taking a laminating sheet. I'm just going to open this up completely, and I'm going to start sprinkling in some glitter. Now you can use any glitter you want. I encourage you to experiment and try out different types of glitters and even flat sequins to create the look you want. I love the look of mica flakes for creating a snowy effect. This creates such a cool frosted finish. It really looks like you're looking through a snow-covered window. I'm using another one of those Winter Florals panels to help me decide where I want to put the glitter. Now this is just a random placement. I'm kind of allowing this to go towards the center of my card because I want to create that frosty effect that's as if you're looking through a window. But if you wanted something a little more sporadic and not quite so intense, you could definitely lighten the amount of glitter you're using and change the placement. Before I run this through my laminator, which is hot and ready to go ahead and sandwich the glitter in place, I did add a little piece of cardstock to help reinforce the laminating sheet as I run it through. After running this through the laminator, I have all of this glitter sandwiched into my laminating sheet, and I did let it cool before I cut it down into an A2 size panel. We're going to create a window for this card, and it's going to actually be part of a tri-fold card design. I need to do a little bit of cutting first, so I'm going to die cut a frame from some Simon Says Stamp rectangle dies, and I'm also going to cut two A2 card bases with a side fold. These two pieces are going to get adhered together to create the tri-fold card. I am going to do a little bit more cutting because we do want to be able to adhere our frame and our window onto this card base. So I cut all but 1/4 of an inch off of one of those A2 cards. On the other card is where we're going to adhere our watercolor panel. Before I go any further, I did want to add a little bit of splatter to my design. The glitter has since dried and I wanted to give more of a snowy effect. So I decided to add some silver distress stain onto my panel, and I'm just splattering that across. I'll let that dry and meanwhile adhere my card panels together. So for the first flap of our trifold card, I'm going to put a little bit of adhesive onto that very thin 1/4 inch flap that we've cut off of that A2 card. This is where we're going to adhere our laminated window. This is going to attach onto that little tiny flap, and this is going to give me a spot to hold this laminating sheet onto my card. I'm also going to adhere this card onto the other A2 size card. This piece I have some adhesive on, and I'm going to lay that one into the inside of the first card base that we're adhering together. And this will make sense as you see me lay this down. So we're going to go ahead and make sure we have this lined up completely. I'm being very careful to make sure it's completely lined up before I press it down. And once I have it pressed down, you're going to see how this creates a really beautiful trifold effect. And of course, I love the finished look. We're ready to add a frame over top of our laminating sheet. Because we needed to adhere the laminating sheet down, I like being able to have a frame around that laminating sheet so that way you don't see where the adhesive is holding the laminating sheet onto our card. I'm going to go ahead and adhere this frame down using some strong double-sided tape because of course this is a shiny surface and very slick, so we want something that's going to hold down really, really well. So once I've lined this up, I'll go ahead and press this down, and you can see how that covers up over top of that 1/4 inch strip that we've cut and held our laminating sheet onto our card base with. So our A2 trifold card is complete. I'm just going to go ahead and take my bone folder and reinforce the score lines of our card to make sure that they're nice and crisp and that the card will stay closed. I need to adhere my flower panel to the inside of this A2 trifold card. So as you open the trifold card, we're going to have this second panel, and this is where the flower panel is adhered to. I'm going to also add a little bit of a frosty effect to the edges of this panel by using some white pigment ink and blending that in towards the center. This creates a really pretty snowy effect. So here we are. We're all completed as far as building the card, and now it's time to decorate. I'm using the new Snowy Pines sequin mix from Simon Says Stamp to adhere some of these to my flower panel. These will peek out from behind that beautiful frosty window we've adhered down to the first flap of our trifold. I also used a couple of new sentiment products from Simon Says Stamp, the Peace Die and the Slimline Christmas Sentiment Strip Set, to add greetings to the front trifold panel. And now the last finishing touch is to add a sentiment to the inside. Now you don't have to do this. You could of course write a message and skip stamping something, but I wanted to complete the sentiment by using this Inside Christmas Greetings stamp set from Simon Says Stamp to stamp a really beautiful sentiment. I used some Deep Sea Simon Says Stamp ink to stamp this down. I'm going to use my Misty tool to make sure I get a really nice crisp impression. And here we are. Our card is complete. The beautiful frosty effect is so dimensional and makes you just want to dive right into this card. I just love how this turned out. Now, like I said, I had so much fun. I made 2 cards with this technique. I used another one of those winter floral panels, and I colored it this time with Copic markers. I used some beautiful blue Copic markers and distress ink to add a little bit of blending to the inside of the card. And just take a look at those rich red and green tones with the beautiful navy. It just gets set off beautifully with that frosty window effect. I also used a couple more new sentiment products from Simon Says Stamp, the Joy Script die, and also the Let's Make a Tag CZ Design stamp set. All of the products that I used today are listed in the video description below or over on my blog, so if you'd like to see what exactly I used for my card projects, you can find that information there. I'm also participating in a blog hop focusing on inspiration from the Holly Jolly collection. And if you'd like to see more inspiration, I definitely encourage you to join in on the hop. If you enjoyed today's video, I hope you will give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already done so. If you are a subscriber, thank you so much for always tuning in to my videos and leaving your kind comments. All of that means so much to me. I have 2 videos on screen right now for you to enjoy, and until next time, I hope you have a very wonderful day. Bye!